Alright, let's talk about Money Master the Game by Tony Robbins today. Just read this book for the second time actually, so I just want to summarize the best ideas here. I think it's a really good habit to either speak out loud or write takeaways you get from a book. So that's basically what I'm doing here in this channel, by the way, but hope you're getting some takeaways from here too, and also enjoying the book reviews, so kind of getting a little bit of an idea what these books are about. I've read a lot of books in this channel, you can check all these other videos too. Tony Robbins though is one of my favorite authors. I think there is no book that I haven't read from him. I think he has the Unlimited Power, Awaken the Child Within, this book, and then the shorter version of the financial or it's kind of like a shorter version of this book called Unshakable, I think. But yeah, this is a pretty thick book. It took me a while to read this, partly just because I kind of was busy and didn't read this. I don't know why it took me like 2 years to finish this book. I've been reading a lot of books, other books in between, like Principles by Ray Dalio and all these other books in between, but never really got to finishing this book, maybe for the reason that I had already read it all once before. But it's an interesting thing when you read books twice, like this book for me, it really hit different this time. And of course it's a little bit of a struggle, me coming from Finland, putting into practice all of the things that you get from these books, because they are for Americans mostly. Of course, all over the world people will benefit from this book, I recommend it. But like 401ks, things like that, we don't have that kind of things in Finland, at least to my knowledge. I think it's an American thing. Even people in England or France or Germany or anywhere, I think they have 401ks like in America. But most of the stuff here and the biggest takeaways, the biggest, most important things are I think applicable pretty much everywhere. So let's kind of go a little bit in chronological order here, or not chronological, like just chapter by chapter, like what I learned from here, the biggest takeaways. But I would just kind of want to start from the top of my head, a few things that I took action on, really made a big difference in my life. Previously, when I read this book, I actually made a mistake and did the opposite of what he recommends. So he's talking about index funds as being those cost-effective ways. Cost-effective funds you can invest in America. You have the S&P 500 index fund, which you can invest in. And this way, it's pretty much guaranteed that you are, over a longer period of time, you're going to be winning, because you don't need to do the active managing yourself, first of all, which, like, if you're an investor, okay, you can do that. Like Warren Buffett is a professional investor, but if you are a plumber, or you are a personal trainer, or you are a doctor, or a lawyer or something, you don't necessarily have the time to dig into the financial world and investing as much. You don't have the time to actually actively manage and follow everything all the time and see what companies are doing well and which are not. So index funds are a great way to invest. But why I said I made a mistake is I actually went and invested into actively managed mutual funds, I believe. At the bank that I was using and still using, I have now 2 bank accounts in Finland. The other one didn't actually have index funds. I was asking them like why I cannot invest in index funds through your bank, and they had some, I think, pretty strange response, like, we don't support that because it's not we cannot guarantee that those companies are good for the environment, and we only support companies that are like 100% environment friendly or something ridiculous like that. Now I have this other bank I use, and I actually found they have an index fund, which is not the same as S&P 500, which also sucks. But I still get to invest in the American market I invest in an index fund, and the costs are very small, and the profit is being pretty good. The interest rate it's been growing at. So I finally got to actually put like a certain percentage into an index fund now, and it's a really great habit to do that. Like, you decide this is a percentage of my income I'm just gonna put aside, it's gonna go to investments, and it just gives you this kind of a little bit of like a sense of pride, or kind of discipline, sense of like control rather, that you are like kind of taking care of your future every single month, and that really makes a big difference. So when I started reading this book again, I wasn't doing really well financially, I would admit, honestly, and everything, but then rereading this, I started to really, like, now it's just 2 years later, things are very much different, and yeah, that's the first takeaway. The investing and putting a certain percentage aside, like another part that you want to set aside. Later in the book he talks about a dream bucket, so don't put everything into like just for the future. It can become a little bit boring, and it can kind of be demotivating to just save for tomorrow, save for 10 years. Like 20 years later you're gonna have this much more because compound interest and everything, which by the way is one of the big takeaways you have to take from this book, is also the amount compound interest can add up to. Like, did he say, yeah, I remember, he said 40 euros spent on pizza every week. Like if you have 4 persons in your family, 4 people, and you buy a 10 euro pizza for everyone, and that's a habit for you. Every Friday you order that 10 euro pizza for everyone. 40 euros over the whole investment lifetime. I don't know, I don't remember exactly how many decades, but it can add up to like 500,000. The 40 euros per week, because that's compound interest. And Albert Einstein said that compound interest is, I'm reading Albert Einstein's biography now, by the way, also about halfway through, I think. Albert Einstein said that compound interest is the biggest the biggest invention in the history of humankind, he said. And it's very interesting how much your money can grow, especially when it hits and reaches that critical mass, and money starts just compounding. And that's when money starts working for you, and you don't always work for money for the rest of your life. But yeah, dream bucket is one bucket you want to put your money into, so that you're constantly putting every month a little bit aside, or you are taking away a little bit of the profits from like the index fund or whatever you're profiting. You take a certain portion of that and you put it aside for your dreams. Like maybe you want to travel to Australia, or whatever you want to do. Like your dream is to go to Japan, or your dream is to like take your whole family to boat trip, or you want to take your whole family to whatever your dream is that costs some money. Like for some person it was like flying, I think, his family on holiday in business class, I think, so everybody could have a little bit better trip. And it actually like improved not just his life, but also his it made his life better, also his family, and like not just the trip was better, but also like the happiness in his family was a lot better. That's just one example, but for each, like everybody has like their own kind of dreams they want to, or these like kind of small goals and dreams that they want to accomplish, and that can really motivate you more. Like when you have like maybe once a year you can do like the trip or something, that it's not just all for the future, all the sacrifice. And then one important thing is save try to save at least 6 months of your expenses just as cash. Have it liquid. Try to save up, like if you need 3k per month, try to save up 18k. If you need 2,000 a month, try to save 12,000, and just have it in the bank, not in an index fund, not in real estate or something like that. You have it in the bank account so that you have this kind of emergency fund. It can provide you with a lot of security. So that's one thing you also want to put aside too. And this actually brings us to one of the takeaways. I kind of summarize this book like chapter to chapter soon, a little bit to like the biggest things, but some of these things are just so profound, I want to bring them up first. And kind of it can be a little bit devastating or disappointing to realize like how much you actually need to put aside. You need to put aside for the emergency fund, or this like 6 months of savings. You want to have like money for index funds, like at least 10%, 15%, 20%. Then you want a dream bucket, like investing dream bucket. Then you need to, if you have a mortgage, you probably want to pay off that also as soon as you can, because the interest payments can also add up in the mortgage, and then you still, of course, still you need to pay taxes, and you need to pay for everything that you need, food, home, everything. So it can make you realize that you actually need more income. Income is also still very key. Like, you cannot just like be a good investor and then you earn 1,000 a month. It probably won't work. Although he had examples of people who just deliver mail, and because they took advantage of compound interest and they started very young, invested a sizable portion of their income, they actually end up retiring like with $1 million or something like that, because they were very disciplined with the investing from early on. So you don't really need to necessarily be like a doctor or something like that, but income has a huge part here. Income is very important, and the way you increase your income is you become more valuable to others. So in that way, I don't understand why people say things like money is the root of all evil and blah blah blah, why people really hate the rich so much. In the end, of course, there are some people who kind of did bad things, maybe to kind of get ahead in life, cheated, stabbed somebody in the back, things like that. But major of the people, I think, and major of the people who are wealthy, it's just because they're bringing more value to more people. So you must decide you must realize that it's just how much value and how many people you are giving that value to, or contributing, how many people's life are you affecting. That's like, for example, why is Tony Robbins so wealthy? How many people are reading his books? How many people are buying his books? How many people are going to his seminars? He's impacting a lot of people. He's bringing a tremendous amount of value. Like the guy knows about finance, he knows about a little bit about health and everything. He knows, of course, like the personal development, the psychology. He's read, like, I don't know how many books he's read and everything, but he has an incredible amount of value that he can give you, and that's why it's totally fair that he makes a lot of money. So if you want to earn more money, and these notes, by the way, I'm telling you, like, you need to do this, you need to do that. I'm kind of making these notes for myself, by the way, even though I say you. Like, when you become more valuable for others, you increase your education, whatever you do, like in business, better customer service, you become more knowledgeable, more of an expert. You just get more customers, you impact more lives, or just impact those lives that you're impacting in a better way, in a bigger way. And you give a little bit more for the whatever. Like, the more value you give, the more you will earn. The more you can charge, for example, as a business owner, the more value you give to the other person. If you're not interested in being an entrepreneur, then that would be like you pursue higher education. So you're not just a nurse, you become a doctor. You're not just like a clerk, you are like a lawyer or whatever. Like, you just grow and become this higher value. You get these higher value skills and you earn more. So that will impact obviously your income then. And then you have more to invest. Now, if you put aside 20% from 1,000 is of course different than 20% from 10,000. So let's see what other things come to my mind as I kind of go over the chapters here, the summary. And again, I started this book 2 years ago. I was in Thailand back then. I started reading this 2 years ago. I don't really even remember everything from the beginning. I then kind of finished this up lately pretty quickly. So in the beginning, he's talking a lot about like also like understand the game. Like they will push banks and everybody. They will try to get you to buy these or invest in these mutual funds, everything, actively managed funds, kind of promising that you're gonna get these huge benefits and everything. But there might be a lot of hidden costs in the contract that you don't really even you don't even have the ability to understand and read that to comprehend that, even if you read through the whole contract. It's really hidden fees that you don't realize. And I think he said 20%, like it can end up taking up 20% of your profits. I mean the growth. Like let's say you make a million in your whole life through investing, but they take 200,000 from that. That's quite a lot. Then he talks about a lot, like also. But yeah, he talks about like this is a lot of the American stuff that really doesn't apply to me much like the 401ks and Roth IRA, whatever they are. I forgot what was the last part of that Roth. But anyways, and all these retirement funds, everything that doesn't, some of them, like maybe I could research and find out there is some of these things are also in Finland, something that I could look into, but also being an entrepreneur, not an employee, 401ks and things like that don't really apply to me. Also, then I think one big takeaway also, he emphasizes how much taxes play a role in your financial future or in your growth. Like you got to understand like the amount you the amount taxes. It's not really just the taxes, but the amount. I mean, the impact that taxes have to compound interest. This is the real problem. The compound interest would take over so much sooner if there wasn't tax, but you have to pay tax. But of course, legally you have to pay tax, but there are ways like in America they can change state, you can pay less tax. And I think for many people it makes sense also. Like, I mean, of course, Americans, what is bad for them? I mean, why I would probably hate to be American is they can only have that one. They can have multiple passports, I think, but if you have an American passport, you're always gonna pay tax in USA. But for other people, like us Europeans, everything, we have the opportunity, we could permanently move somewhere else. We could move to Bali, we could move to wherever. You can move to Dubai or wherever you want to move, and you can save on tax. So that's one way. Like if you save on tax, if you can figure out, of course, even just living in your own country, you can legally do things that will save in taxes. The examples he gives here are very American, but of course, like as a business owner, you don't have to pay as much tax from your profit if you have things that you acquire during the year and that are business acquisitions. Like I don't know what it would be for you, but if you that way you can reduce taxes. But this is not really the tax that he's talking about here. Like of course businesses can reduce tax in that way, but of course that doesn't really leave you with more profit. Like if you deduct some purchases or some kind of like expenses because they're business expenses, but that just like you pay less tax, but doesn't really leave you with more profit. It's probably that the key would be to be able to that personal tax, trying to reduce that. Well, on the top of my head, I cannot really think of other ways than that. Moving to another place, basically, that you could reduce your tax, but moving to another country permanently. But yeah, if you're in the USA, he had some examples for that, like investing into funds that actually don't like you don't have to pay tax for, like I forgot anyways, so it's not really applicable for me because I cannot invest really into those. I'm not working in the US, I don't have a 401k or whatever, but basically that's why Warren Buffett, for example, is so rich, because he buys companies, he buys stocks, but he never sells, so he never pays tax because he keeps his money in the stocks. So if he took money from if he sold all of those stocks, he would pay a tremendous amount of tax, but he doesn't sell. He keeps them in assets. And then he's talking about all these funds for Americans that you have, that you can, I think it's the same kind of idea. You save, you invest, and you don't need to pay tax from the profit unless you take it for your personal use. But yeah, I was kind of blacking out on that part. Like, yeah, here's some examples: income before tax and everything. But yeah, it can have a big impact. So whatever you can legally do to reduce taxes, move state, move country. I don't know what other examples would be, but anyways, it has a huge impact. That's just what you got to understand. Then what else? Taxes, then also just your expenses. You got to understand, kind of to the same point, like if you have the opportunity to move to a cheaper area, like if you can move in the US to another state, where it's just a lot cheaper to live. You can have both a better quality of life than you used to have, and you can save and invest more. This is especially true if you like go from like Norway to Bali, or you go from like New York to Thailand, or you go from Switzerland to even Portugal, or Switzerland to Vietnam. Like, it's insane how much cheaper you can live somewhere in like Thailand or Vietnam or Bali or Brazil or Argentina, or I think Costa Rica, and these places you can live a lot cheaper, even if it's not a big difference. Like, I think like even if you move from like Norway to, or Finland, from Finland or Sweden, Norway, or if these countries you move just a little bit south, like I mean even just move to Estonia or move to Hungary, or I think even Spain, where I'm now, Portugal, places like that, you can save a lot on, like, I couldn't get this kind of rent for this kind of place anywhere really in I think Finland, where it's like anywhere close to anything, and so forth, like food expenses, everything. So if you have the opportunity to live somewhere where it's cheaper, it totally makes sense. You save more, you can enjoy a better lifestyle, you can invest more. And then what else should I mention here? The expenses, yeah, just try to one of the big takeaways, also one lesson here was like, try to figure out, like, on a scale of 1 to 10, like when you make expenses, like look at your expenses from last month and really like rate like the top expenses, like 1 to 10, how much like they give you in this moment, how much importance, how much like really like satisfaction, and how much they improve your quality of life now. Then visualize all your financial dreams that you want to accomplish and compare that to it. Like if it's like, compare the importance of having that pleasure, having that those things or whatever experiences right now versus the financial dreams that you want to accomplish in the future years. And oftentimes you will realize that maybe going to the cinema or maybe ordering that pizza or something doesn't really give you so much satisfaction that it's worth sacrificing your financial dreams for, because you got to, and again, understand compound interest. If compound interest, with compound interest, even the small expenses like saving 100, 200 every month, it can have a huge impact on the future. So that's one thing. And then in the end, there's an interesting section. He has the billionaires playbook. He interviewed all of these billionaires. Just enjoy sharing. Then, of course, the important part also was to give away and start giving away right away. You don't need to become a millionaire or something first. To give away, start giving us even a small amount. So start giving something right now to a charity of your choice. Help other people. That's the true wealth, when you can give away. That can actually really give you some more meaning and reason why you're earning money. If you can save the poor people who cannot even have clean drinking water and dying from water, or people who don't have meals, are starving, suffering from hunger all the time, human trafficking, people being like sold slaves still today. So if you can find that cause you want to support, that can really give you a lot of fulfillment. And without fulfillment, like success without fulfillment is the ultimate failure, like Tony Robbins says. So if you become successful, you earn all that money, and we see a lot of examples of people who earn all the money in the world. They have all the money in the world, but they are miserable, depressed, even commit suicide. And that's because they don't have the meaning, they don't have the fulfillment, even though they got all the money. So don't do more of things that make you unhappy. You need to do more of things that make you happy. And oftentimes these people, the billionaires he interviewed, all of them did some philanthropy, and all of them had found fulfillment also in giving, even though they find fulfillment also in the game of building businesses and investing and earning more money, but they also get a lot of fulfillment from giving it away. So yeah, that's also an important takeaway. And you can start now. Like, imagine if you had 100 million and you had to give 10 million, like that 10% is a lot harder to give than today. Give 10 cents from €1, or give 10 euros from 100. Like Jim Rohn says, like if you cannot give like 10 cents from $1, how are you gonna give like million out of 10 million or something like that? He said, Jim Rohn. But yeah, just a small portion, start to, or bigger or smaller, depends on you how much you want to give, but give something away also consistently. And that's it. I think those are the biggest takeaways. Very tired, a little bit of flu, so hopefully I did at least somewhat a good job summarizing this. Hopefully you got some value from this if you watched all the way to the end. Thanks for watching. I'll make more of these videos, reading some other books right now. I'll finish them, I think, soon, and I'll make more videos. So talk to you very soon. Thanks for watching. Like the video, subscribe if you're not a subscriber yet. See you soon.